I've got a really special 26 acre up in the La Sal Mountains. This is located in Utah, just outside of Moab in the Spanish Valley. It's located adjacent to Manti-La Sal National Forest. It's up at 10,000 feet elevation. It's a way to escape the heat in Utah during the summer months. And you're walking distance to Blue Lake, which is stocked with rainbow trout, this small high alpine lake. Literally walking distance from the front doorstep of your property. This is a one of a kind land investment. I'm really happy to bring it out with you, but at the same time conflicted, right? We've been holding on to this property for a couple of years, and we've had intentions of wanting to keep it, right? And so I love selling property like this, but at the same time, I mean, these are just one of a kind listings that I don't know if I'll ever come across another land listing like that. So again, for my business partner and I, for the guys at Wilco Land who own these properties, we love selling them. We love bringing it up to you guys, but it is truly one of a kind. I'm showing you photos. My business partner luckily had made it out to this property during the summer months. In this video, I'm going to dive into this listing. I'm going to talk about how you can access it. That's going to be a huge conversation I'm going to have in this video. I'm going to teach you how you can access the property. There's two different access routes. There's one from Moab in the Spanish Valley, and there's one from down south from La Salle, Utah. Again, this is a very rare piece of property. I'm going to show you guys comparable sales on Zillow. And to give you a kind of a sneak peek, there's no sales up here. There's no land that gets listed up here. You can't find property up here. It just doesn't exist. People don't sell land up here, and the rest of it is owned by BLM land, it's wilderness areas, or it's national forest, right? So that's what makes a land investment like this so special. There's not subdivisions with thousands of properties available. There's nobody selling up here. It is truly one of a kind area. The aspens in the fall are going to be beautiful. You can just tell by the photos, right? These are photos of the property. These are drone shots looking down on our property. So it's something that this is a view from the property. These are, again, like I said, I can't emphasize this enough. One of a kind, a very rare opportunity that you will probably won't see very often in your lifetime if you're looking at this video. And again, in the video, I'm going to cover things like access. I'm going to talk about how you can get to the property. I'm going to talk about potential uses for the property. We actually, I talked about wanting to keep some of this land. We're actually going through the subdivision process. We're trying to split this property up into 4 separate lots. We think that's going to add a ton of value to this property when that's split up into 4 lots. We are open to selling it before then, which is why we're putting it on the market, right? I'll talk about utilities. I'll talk about a lot of common, frequently asked questions in this video too. So just want to get kicked off. I'll show you guys a video of the property here in a minute. Kicking this off with a quick disclaimer: this isn't legal advice. It's not real estate advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions on this property through my own due diligence and my 10 plus years experience in the industry. So again, this is my business partner right here, having a great time on the property. Like I said, just absolutely stunning views from this property, a remarkable location. And you can see that yourself from these photos. So I'll move on from that conversation, right? Let's give you a bird's eye view of where this property is located. So we're over here, pretty close to Moab, Utah. Here's Moab, here's Castle Valley, here's Spanish Valley. We're dead in the heart of the Sal Mountain Range right here, surrounded by national forest, next to a high alpine lake that's stocked with rainbow trout. So you've got endless fishing opportunities, really a cool location. And then here's La Salle, Utah. So that gives you a bird's eye look at the property. I do want to show you what it looks like on satellite imagery too. You can see there's a road that goes through the property. It's called Blue Lake Road. I'll talk about that a little bit more. And then here's Blue Lake right here. Here's a good photo that somebody put online at some point. So, pretty relatively flat topography too. Look at that, like very good topography on this property. So that's something that really jumped out to me. You'll get really steep properties in the mountain. This is going to have a nice gentle slope. We know we've got $1 million views from this property. Like I said, just $1 million views looking at these peaks over here. If we go this way, again, it's absolutely stunning out here, right? And you can look at, like, Google Earth offers some of these photos and stuff to give you a better idea of what you're looking at. I think our photos do a really great job of helping you understand what you're buying with this 26 acre, just looking through some of these photos and things like that. So that's going to help give you a good idea what you're buying as well, looking through our photos. So again, touching on the property, the first thing I'll cover is access. I want to talk a little bit more on that. So My favorite app I like to use is going to be Onyx Hunt. If you're going to buy a property like this, you're going to have some level of backcountry skills. This is located at 10,000 feet elevation, right? So during the winter, you're going to be using a snowmobile to access this property if you're going to go up here during the winter months. When we talk about development and building, I wanted to stop on this photo quick. Look at what's possible up here at 10,000 feet. So when we talk about land use, before I get into access, because that's going to take a little bit of time, I want to share with people, like, what are people doing with properties like this? They're building homes like this. That's what they're doing. They're putting yurts up here, and they're making, just amazing campsites. So, what does this property offer? It offers a long-term land investment that's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. The second thing it offers is a recreational oasis. It's a place to go camp, to go recreate, to backcountry ski, to go fishing. It's really cool in that nature. Some other suggested uses are bring some yurts up there. That's a really easy, inexpensive way to take advantage of your property. And here's a good video showing the property. Make it a glorified campsite. There's so much you can do with a property like this. You might even be able to get a camper up here. I don't know about the road, but I brought my camper into some pretty gnarly locations out in Montana. So, if you can get a camper up here, great. That's an awesome idea too. Bringing yurts up here, tiny homes, off-grid structures like that. And then I zoomed in showing you guys the neighboring property too. They've got a really sweet spread up on that hill too. So there's so many uses for a property like this, whether it be recreation or building a cabin out here. The world's at your fingertips up here at 10,000 feet. So this is a really good video. Like I said, my business partner stepped foot on this property. The photos and things that we're looking at are of the property. So we've got some really good imagery to capture what we're selling here. The next thing I wanted to go into is talking about access. This is going to be one of my favorite apps to use for land viewings. Having a successful land viewing is really key if you're in the market for land. So I talked about 2 different access routes. Let's jump into it. All I'm doing is using the GPS coordinates to locate on a map. So I'm just plugging those GPS coordinates in right here. You can access it from Moab. You go through the Spanish Valley down here, and you're going to hop on, let's see here. And I think I have the directions written in here in the listing. So you would hop on from Moab. You're going to head through the Spanish Valley to the La Sal Loop Road to Geyser Pass to Blue Lake Road. That'll take you to the property. You're going to pass a lot of famous trailheads on the way. So this looks like it's La Sal Loop Road right here. Like I said, my business partner has tracked his Onyx. So you're going through the National Forest on La Sal Loop Road. It does turn into Geyser Pass up here. So here's Geyser Pass Road right here. And this is a nice pass, all really travelable. You've got Squaw Spring Trailhead you're going to pass. This is a gate during the winter months. They close this gate during the winter months for vehicular traffic. You can take a snowmobile up to this property though during the winter months, or some sort of snow machine. Here's Clark Lake Trailhead. Again, Moonlight Meadows. And then you're going to keep going, and you can either go, and then you can keep going, stay high on Blue Lake. This is Blue Lake Road. It's a Forest Service road. So stay high on this. So from Geyser Pass Road, you're going to take a left onto Blue Lake Road. It says it's unnamed right here. So just be wary. This is where you're turning. And this is called Blue Lake Road. And this is going to go, this is a Forest Service road. It's going to go right through the property right here. And then this is the subject property that we're selling, the 26-acre property. And then if you keep going, this will bring you to Blue Lake. That Blue Lake Road will. So just a really small high alpine lake. I mean, if you Google it, you can't even learn much about it. So I don't think anybody goes up there. They do stock it with rainbow trout. But again, Google Blue Lake in the Manti-La Sal National Forest. There's like nothing that comes up on it. So I'm guessing it's not very, very heavily used. The other access route that you're going to be looking at is you're going to come in from the south, from La Sal, Utah. So if we're down here in La Sal, Utah, we're going to get off Highway 46. Here's La Sal right here. So get off Highway 46. You're going to keep heading, and then you're going to head up from 46. It's going to, head north. We're staying on 46 right here, right? And you're going to keep taking this road. Again, it goes into a Forest Service road. This is called La Sal Pass. Again, I have directions in the listing here. From La Sal, you'll take Highway 46 to La Sal Pass. That turns into 2 Mile Road, and you'll pass the La Sal Creek Trailhead and head up Dark Canyon Lake Road. Then you'll veer off to Blue Lake Road, and that'll take you onto the property. So again, just mapping this out on Onyx. Here's La Sal Pass Road. We're going to keep heading up that road. It's going to turn into 2 Mile Road once you pass this campground, La Sal Creek Winter Trailhead. Just keep that in mind. 2 Mile Roads going to be what you're looking for. And then you're going to actually stay left here. So this is Dark Canyon Road. So stay left here, stay west. And then you're going to head all the way up through this Forest Service road, right? All the way past Dark Canyon Lake. So this is really close to the property too. So again, we talk about, so many things to do up in this mountain range. If you own land up here, if you build a house, whatever you may do, you're going to pass Dark Canyon Lake. You're going to keep going. You're going to switch back over here. You're going to stay. This is still Dark Canyon Lake Road right here that you're staying on. Okay. You're going up, up, up. Then you're eventually going to you're going to actually pass the property a little bit. And then you can take this route right here. This is Blue Lake Road. And that'll actually bring you back around over to the original route that I was talking about, right? So you come in from the south and it actually brings you back up to Blue Lake Road up here. Then you're going to come back into the property. So we talked about, at the beginning of the video, so that's access directions. You're going to use GPS coordinates to access. I do recommend four-wheel drive, high clearance vehicle. Think SUV, think pickup truck, think side by side. People who are buying this property typically have the capabilities to access it, right? So in your backyard, I talked about one of the big selling points having Blue Lake right here. Just a little bit further down is Dark Canyon Lake. I mean, as the crow flies from Dark Canyon Lake to the property, you're a mile away. So really a cool location. There's trailheads in every which way out here too. So, and then behind your property, you have 81,000 acres of national forest behind your property. In addition, there's state land. So state land, another 10,000 acres. So you can just see as I zoom out, there's just BLM land everywhere, right? There's 2 million acres of BLM land to the south. So, when I talked about how rare and how limited a property like this was at the beginning of the video, you can see why. Millions of acres is owned by the government, BLM lands, national forests, wilderness areas, state land. There's very little opportunities for private land ownership. That's a reality of things. And if there is, it's mostly a huge rancher that owns it all, right? So there's just so many opportunities for recreation back here, and there's very, very, very little opportunities for basically buying private land. And I wanted to zoom in again quick here before we touch on market comps and things like that. But you can see other people have developed and built in these properties. So here's a subject 26 acre that we're selling. And you can look at these other properties, right? There's a home right there. So people are developing on these properties up here. I don't know what the situation is with power. My assumption is that these are off grid and they're using solar for power, or they're using generators, but I could be wrong. There could be power lines up here and it could be affordable to actually connect to power. You'll have to go up there and look for yourself and do some of that your own due diligence. When it comes to putting getting water up here, think about putting a well in, a holding tank. When it comes to, disposing of your waste, your sewage, think about a septic system. Contact a local well driller, contact the state, contact the septic company. Those are going to be the parties you're working with. On 26 acres like this, those things don't worry me a lot. You're going to be able to put a septic system in it, I would guess. Getting water should be no problem, things like that. So it's really easy to apply for a water right with the state of Utah. And we might even have one. I think in our photos, we have a map of the water rights out here showing that. So you can see there's actually there's some wells out here and some water rights that have been issued just around our property, some homes. So, keep that in mind. You'll have to do some of your own homework on that and dig into it a little bit more, but building up here is definitely possible. It's going to be a world-class location. And if you're not into building a home like this, a lot of these people have really cool properties. You don't even notice that, you can't see them in the trees like that. But from satellite imagery, you can learn so much about an area like this. So I won't stay on that too long. I'll keep moving with this video. I do want to touch on something, the subdivision. This is a process that we've started. We'd love to keep a little chunk of this property. We would sell it all together right now. We're in the business of moving land. That's what we do. Finding unique and epic properties out there and bringing them out to the public. So it's a special property, but we are in the process of subdividing it. So in the future, probably next summer, if this isn't sold, which I assume it will be, this will be split up into two 10-acre lots right here. Here's Blue Lake Road that goes through here. It's a 50-foot easement. And then there'll be two smaller lots down here, about 3.2 acres and 2.7 acres. So right now there's a little parcel. What we're selling is two properties. There's a little parcel right here that basically we're doing a boundary line adjustment. We'll vacate that. And then we'll have four lots, two smaller lots on the south side of the road and these two northern lots right here, two 10-acre lots. So we're in that process. We've had a surveyor, work on this. We're working with the county to get it done. Like I said, probably be done next summer, if anything. So I think that adds a lot of of value to the listing. If you want to continue that project, if you want to do it, I mean, you could sell this for much more than $500,000 as 4 separate lots. I mean, it's probably closer to $1 million land investment, at that price point. So you kind of get diminishing turns with land. A lot of people can do what they want to do on 10 acres as they can on 26 acres. So if that helps that put you in perspective of what you're buying into a pretty sweet land investment opportunity. There's some money to be made on this property. And like I said, it's really one of a kind listing. You just don't see anything. So that leads me to the last section of this video. I want to talk about comparable sales. I want to talk about this market. What is land out here worth? It's impossible to find it. It's almost priceless, you could argue. There is nothing. This is where the property is located, right here in the heart of the La Sal Range. There is nothing for sale in the La Sal Range. Here's something on the outskirts of it in Spanish Valley. I mean, just doesn't even compare. This is a Pack Creek property, if you're familiar with the area, down on Pack Creek Road in Moab. I mean, they're selling an acre for $230,000. There's just absolutely nothing that compares. That's high alpine real estate like this. I mean, you could buy a 5 acre down at the base in La Sal for 135. I mean, I think we have a steal of a price. I think somebody's going to get an awesome deal on this property in the La Sal's. And if you look at sold inventory, nothing sold in La Sal Range, right? There just aren't transactions happening. Nobody's willing to give up a property up there. I mean, they're just, like I said, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So if it's property that you're interested, get with me, get with our team. I have other properties out there in Utah. Check out the homepage, see what we're advertising. We do offer a little bit more of a self-service model. So feel free to go view the property on your own. Feel free to go visit it. Contact us if you have questions. I'd love to hear how things go. Take a peek at the website. There's other property in Utah that we have down in Hatch, Utah. I've got a 5 acre property behind Zion National Park. If you're only in the market for Utah, but we've got land in Montana, Washington, Idaho, Oregon, kind of all over the United States, as you can see there. And then I'll show you, we've got some stuff down in Kanab, Utah. This La Sal property, I've got a 5 acre behind Zion National Park. This is a really cool listing. If you're interested in something near Zion. So this offers a pretty cool land investment opportunity for somebody too. So, get with us if you have questions. You can reach me here directly at 605-250-1256. Thanks for tuning in.